Question today, or comment, I guess, comes from my friend Alexandra. She says, prove why communication in any relationship is the foundation. Prove why communication is the foundation of any good relationship. It's not, actually. Communication is crazy important, but is not the foundation of any relationship. And I think a lot of people go to communication as kind of the fix-all for relationships because they're hoping if they can master some technique, then they'll just be able to patch up everything in a relationship and make it good. But, that's really not the foundation of a relationship. So from a pastoral perspective, the foundation of any good relationship is connection. How bonded, how connected, how united is the man and woman? How glued together are they in the relationship? So you think of connection as one, and the other thing is climate. What's the climate? What's the weather like in your relationship? Is it cold and desolate and dark? Is it a desert, very dry with vast expanses of nothing? Or does it feel warm and inviting? Do you hear the ocean in the background? Is it a forest with vegetation everywhere and growth and flowers and healthy, good, beautiful things? So if you can kind of describe the climate of your relationship, that gives you a good sense of, how you feel imaginatively about the relationship. And if you can maintain connection. And communication, believe it or not, is not always necessary to maintain a good climate in a relationship or to maintain a connection. So for connection, you just need to be looking at each other, doing the same kind of activities, talking to each other. And that's not necessarily communication, because communication, we're talking about important things, our feelings, things that are on our mind. Small talk is a way of connecting too. Pretending to be interested in a story that somebody's telling you, that the story's boring, but you care about the story because you care about the person telling it. So when you show interest in the story, you're not saying it's a good story, you're saying you care about the person saying it, and that's a form of connection. Checking in with each other, texting throughout the day, cracking jokes, spending time together. There's lots of ways to connect. You also connect, of course, through family and activities and stuff like that, but you don't want family life to mediate the whole relationship because one day the kids are going to move out. So you want to make sure you have a connection outside of the kids. That's a different video. But you can maintain good connection without deep, heartfelt communication that solves problems. You can also maintain a healthy climate without deep, heartfelt communication that solves problems. In most relationships, the things that annoy you about your partner today are going to annoy you about your partner decades down the road. The difference is down the road you've accepted it and you've decided it's not going to ruin your day anymore. I mean, if they're a slob on week one in the marriage, they're probably a slob the last week of the marriage, near the end of life. So whether it's the first year or the 20th year, people tend to keep the same habits and rub each other wrong the same way. What matters, though, is when you go to repair the relationship, when you go to repair these little ruptures and these little annoyances and resentments that totally will happen because you're two human beings in the same space. When you go to repair those things, does the repair work? And the repair doesn't have to involve communication. It could be if you have tension with your wife, you crack a stupid joke. You're not trying to be funny for the sake of being funny. You're trying to reconnect. You're trying to repair the relationship. And you don't have to solve the problem to repair the relationship. You just have to reconnect. And so if she laughs, it's a good sign. If she doesn't laugh, you might be in trouble. And couples that don't let repair relationships attempt, the resentment builds up, they get contempt for each other, and eventually the relationship, they're disconnected, the climate is terrible, so the relationship fails. So communication actually is not the foundation of any relationship. This can be encouraging if communication is bad in your relationship, because as long as you have a warm, good climate and you guys nurture each other well enough to where the climate is that way and both people feel valued, and as long as you're connected to each other, you can have a healthy relationship. Communication, I will say, is important and it will help. So you should read books on communication. You should learn how to listen. You should get good at it because people who can communicate well are better at connecting than people who cannot communicate well. But if you have the disadvantage of being with somebody who's a bad communicator, or you're a bad communicator yourself, or you're both terrible, there are couples that sweep things under the rug, but it's okay because the relationship repairs every time it ruptures. So the foundation of any relationship is not communication, although it's important, but it's not necessary. What's necessary is connection between the two partners and a climate that is healthy, warm, and beautiful, or at least tolerable enough. And there will be seasons where every relationship has a bad climate, but it's the connection that will get you through those seasons. And if you don't have that, that's when you're in trouble. Hope that helps.